Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. This is the Endless Song Podcast with Will and Emily. Hey everybody, today on the podcast I'm talking to Joseph Brady, the artist behind the company Beyond Caricature from Portland, Oregon. We'll be discussing his artistry, as well as his latest venture, Positivity Portraiture, shining a light on a different type of awakening story, while taking a look at his mission to promote body positivity through art. And now, Joseph Brady. All right, so we're recording. Right, today we're talking to Joseph Brady. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Oh, I am doing so well.
Good. That's good to hear.
I'm having so much fun. I'm so glad to be here.
Nice. All right. Well, we brought you on the podcast here today to talk about your work as an artist and the multitude of things that you do as an artist. We'll talk a little more in depth about those things as we go along. But first, let's get to know a little bit about you as an artist. When did art become a part of your life?
I don't think of it as becoming a part of my life. I think of it as being my life. I can remember being a kid sitting in sand drawing with a stick. And drawing professionally or for money in public, I started at age 14. Simply by drawing quick caricatures of my teachers and classmates, which was fun at first, but the teachers started getting annoyed. Then I was in carnivals at the schools and hired to go to other schools, their carnivals. And that's when I started learning to draw in public and look at each individual, find out everybody's got something different in terms for likeness, noticing it, drawing out quickly, and expanding from faces to bodies.
So it started very early for you, and you have artistry in your family as well. I know your father was an artist, a painter.
My father-in-law was a painter.
Okay.
He was an art teacher in New York City, and my wife paints as well. She started painting at the age of 4 through instruction from him. Throughout our house here, you can see paintings from both of us and from him as influence to what we're doing. And something I've taken from my father-in-law, and that is true artists don't do just one thing. They expand. They find their voice. They expand. They find more voice. They expand.
So it's not a stagnant thing, just like life.
Right.
Things come in all the time. You add them to the arsenal, and then it becomes a big, wide canvas,
Right.
in a sense, that you're working on. So what does art mean to you, mean for you? What does it do for you? How does it fit in within your life?
It has always been a part of my life and always been a part of my profession. I'm soon turning 65 years old. I have been a professional artist like this only for the last 5 years. Up until then, I was a teacher and a consultant working in offices where I always needed to have some kind of communication with someone else, where I needed to be some form of influencer. My main tool was art. I could draw out the concept over a napkin, over a whiteboard, during a discussion with a simple ballpoint pen to help keep the ideas logical and focused. And I became a very strong influencer with a lot of big organizations, including places like Coca-Cola.
So it's been a tool as a part of your life, I mean, all through your work, your different professions, but it's only in the last 5 years or so that you've sort of been doing art for yourself. In the sense of just being a working artist on a daily basis. Mm-hmm. And what's been the difference for you between when it was the professional part of your life and now when it's sort of a hybrid of the professional and personal?
It has been primarily this, and that is I've always been an artist that's just wanting to break out and be an artist.
Okay.
And I needed to give myself permission to say, it is okay to fail. It is okay to enjoy what you're doing, even if you're not making any money. And it is okay to do something that nobody else might not like because you're doing it for yourself.
Yeah, and in a way, that in itself is an awakening of sorts. We talk about that in the podcast, that an awakening essentially is people waking up to a realization that maybe they didn't have before, or something that's been nagging at them for a while, and all of a sudden it comes to them in such a way that it changes everything for them and can even change the course and direction of their life.
Yeah.
So that has to be an amazing feeling. I mean, obviously this is something that's been a part of your life for the entirety of it, but now you're getting to do it on your own terms. I would imagine that the obvious answer is that's very freeing.
Very freeing, yes. There is a risk that I take now on practically an hourly basis when I introduce my art to somebody that is going to be rejected for one reason or another. And I come to the realization those that accept it really accept it. And we become friends. They embrace me and help me promote it, which I didn't realize would happen before. I thought that I'd have to adapt what I did for the tastes or sensibilities of someone else. And that is really not the case. The people who like my art are self-selective. And that is the freeing part of it. I wish I had known that 35, 40 years ago.
I imagine that carries over to a lot of things as well, not just being an artist, but in any sense, you're stepping out and putting yourself out there for people to either make a connection with or not make a connection with. How difficult was it in the beginning when you started doing this on a personal level for you to accept the idea that not everybody would connect with you? Or was that the revelation that...
It was a revelation. I was actually very concerned for people I've had relationships with for a very long time would reject me. And I'd lose those relationships. That has not happened. But it was certainly a huge risk on my part. I thought family members would stop talking to me. I thought that coworkers would stop talking to me. I thought bosses might fire me. All that kind of stuff.
Wow. Yeah, and we'll get to talking about sort of the personal nature of a portion of what you do artistically, which is a big part of your work, and the reason why I imagine those things would be general fears going into doing that. So you do art on a regular basis that is art. You paint, you draw, you have a business where you do caricatures, you go to different places and do different art that way. That, I would imagine, fills the niche of doing the art, of getting the art out. Do you find that as fulfilling?
The caricatures has its element of fulfillment in the fact that it's live drawing in front of people, and I get the rush of the performance art and the rush of giving something to someone they really like, they watch it develop coming through. And I still love to do it at parties, and special events, community events that ask me to join them. That is very fulfilling. What I'm finding less fulfilling about it is looking for those community events that you rent booth space out, and I sit there and I hope that people like my work. That is not as fulfilling as the other stuff I'm getting into.
It's almost like anybody in any job, it's the grind.
Yeah.
And it's more fun when you know you're going into a situation where you're already welcomed in and people are looking forward to it and want to participate instead of have to sit on the sideline and think about it.
Yeah. In fact, about an hour ago, I got rehired to work at an event that I was at a month ago. They're having a Halloween party. They want me to come and paint people in their costumes.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That'll be a lot of fun, I'm sure.
That will be. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So now as you've moved into this personal phase of your art career, you've taken a bit of a detour into body positivity work. So that's a big focus about what we want to talk to you about today, mainly because we met at an event and it was really eye-opening for me to see your work. One, because it's not necessarily something I see a lot in art. I mean, obviously, art is selecting a subject, detailing it in some way. so that people can see something in it themselves, feel something from it. But the body positivity work feels different in that it's very much more personal for the subject that's involved.
That's correct.
So what brought you to working in the body positivity field? What called to you to make you think that this was the next step in your art evolution?
I took a bit of a risk about 3 years ago and went to an alternative lifestyle conference, set up a booth to paint very intimate portraits of genitalia, just to see what would happen. The results were most of the people that wanted it talked about how they appreciated their bodies and wanted to see it on a picture of themselves in this format. And from that came additional discussions about other forms of bodies that came through. So I came back and started practicing the idea of focusing on bodies when I ran into a friend who had a lot of scars on her belly from having a child at age 19. For 6 years, she didn't swim. She didn't wear adult or age-appropriate clothing. She didn't date. She was so ashamed of her body from all those scars. With her, I just painted her belly. And for the first time, she took that painting and she showed her mother. In fact, her mother didn't have any idea what she was doing. None. But without fear, she showed her mother this painting that was made. And then she turns it into a Mother's Day card. And since then, she's been married. It changed her life. I thought, this is a powerful message. And I went forward and did more of it. And that's how this body positivity as a service came about. And I have examples to show of other scars, of other body types, and I keep showing these examples. And inevitably, as I show through my examples, you saw my painting book that I show, and I've got a website that shows them. So when I show them and let people just react, after about the third or fourth one, they'll be sharing a story of a scar or something about their body themselves.
There's a realness to the body positivity work that is apparent the moment you get into it. And if you can set aside the puritanical notions of seeing nudity on the page, and not all of them are necessarily nude in the sense of showing genitalia or anything that some might deem offensive.
Right.
There is a power underneath the work that is sort of undeniable in the freeing nature of it that I imagine really strikes the people that come seeking this type of work. Like you talked about the young woman, obviously her scars were from something that was groundbreaking, and having a child, I mean, that's a beautiful, nurturing, very maternal event to have happen, and it left behind scars that she ended up being ashamed of. But to see that turned around and to see that that's her is, I have to imagine, very freeing for a lot of people. Do you find that to be something that happens often with the people that come in for the body positivity work?
Absolutely, yes. It's freeing, and I need to explain at this part what makes it freeing. It's not just having a painting finished. It's the entire experience of having it done. First of all, talking about it. Second of all, working with me to arrange what it is that the painting would like to provide. Third is setting up the pose, getting very comfortable with the pose. Fourth is actually watching it being produced. You see in my studio here that I set a camera up on a piece of paper here, so that on the monitor, as it's being painted, the sitter can watch it surface right on the page and react to what's happening and to see what's going on. Finally, the prestige, which is handing the finished painting and without saying any words, let the sitter react to it. And usually it's met with silence. A warm, awakening silence. And often the first words come out are, "Oh my God."
And you talked about this a little bit when we first met, and we were talking about this work. The thing that struck me so much, in fact, it was the moment I realized I've got to get Joseph on the show, was that you talked about how when the people come and they sit for this, one of the things that they end up realizing is the amount of distortion we live with as background noise in our everyday life, whether it be media, whether it be even just simple tricks of the light, mirror density. We talked about a whole range of things that distort our view of our bodies on a regular basis. Do you find that something that you end up discussing with your subjects as well?
Most of the time I'll talk about that, yes. I think I was talking about you about the 5 pieces of misinformation a mirror gives.
Yeah, we did.
One of those is, you look at the mirror, you're flipped, the reflection. You hold it up against a photo taken of you, you don't believe it's you because you're used to seeing your flipped image, and we are not 100% symmetrical. Along that, we realize we're not 100% symmetrical, so something minor, very, very slight difference someplace. Slight difference on one side versus the other. You can measure it in millimeters or less, but it's perceptible because our eyes are very good at perceiving differences. Along with that, if you look at the technology of a mirror is a piece of glass with some form of paint on the back of it. Being glass, light going through any kind of glass will refract. So your image is either expanded or condensed, which the true size is.
And we've seen that. I mean, you see that when you go to I think we talked about the funhouse mirror that you see, obviously that's an exaggerated version. Those mirrors are intentionally distorted to make you look out of proportion and strange. Mm-hmm. But if you really bake it down to just a regular mirror, rectangular mirror, square mirror, circle mirror in your bathroom or whatever, you're still getting distortion like that when you're looking at yourself. Mm-hmm. And then you layer all that on top of the fact that we don't generally see ourselves in our daily life unless we are looking at ourselves through something else that has taken and then presented that image. And whatever distortions that are involved in that are how we are viewing our real selves. So other people see us as we are because they're not looking through a distortion field of any kind, but we on a regular basis, we are looking out from this body. We are not generally looking at this body.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought was really just an amazing thing that, I'm sure I've thought about before, but when you brought it up and mentioned it about this, it really makes sense that all the different ways we see ourselves are distorted. And then do you find that there's at play as well, there's lots of talk about, disproportionate, beauty standards, things people see in everyday life that they feel like they have to or want to live up to, and that drives them to want to do this as well?
Absolutely. What they are looking for is a way they can accept how they look, even though they might not match Barbie proportions.
And so they are looking to see the real them.
Yes, that's right.
For the most part, I'm imagining most of these people, since they're seeking this out, in the end, the result is freeing, just in the sense that they now have this image of the whole self, or in this case, whatever part of their body was bothering them, that sets them in motion to self-accept and self-love themselves in a way that they maybe couldn't before.
Exactly. And the way I've worked this out is, as we continue to talk about the mirror, the third misinformation the mirror gives is we only look at ourselves at eye level only. And so if we look down, we're seeing from the reflection of ourselves from eye level down. We never get a chance to see our point of view from below or from the side or some other point of view which most other people are going to see you at. So I get into a point of view that you're not going to be seeing yourself in before I make the painting.
So you're seeing, it's almost in a sense of seeing things in real time from a real straight-on advantage point, instead of being not just distorted, but from a fixed point of view, a fixed vantage point.
Yeah.
And everyone's been someplace where they've seen something from the ground, but then also seen it from above. And you realize the difference that makes in seeing whatever it is, whether it be people or objects or things, and that we live in that as a reality too. That's fascinating. That would be another way to look at how distorted we see things.
And to help the process along the way is I like to choose a vantage point where when it comes out on the page, using a little bit of artist technique, it's using a composition which is much of a a monumental or something important. So I like to get maybe below and paint up high. Which, so now you look at the finished image and go, oh, this is an important statement being made here. The second thing is you look at the shapes. I recognize those shapes. That's me. Oh, this is beautiful. I didn't know I could be beautiful.
And that has to be empowering.
Oh, yeah.
To have that feeling come out. I'm sure for people, especially who have anxiety or fear of the way they believe they present themselves on a daily basis. So what are some of the most memorable experiences you've had doing the body positivity work? What stories, what images, what paintings or drawings stand out to you alongside the art of the mother who wanted to detail her scars?
Okay, so I'm showing you one right now of a woman who, I can't call her a woman, she doesn't consider herself either man or woman.
Okay.
She grew up as a tomboy, and she hated the color pink. She decided to have a breast reduction, and then after breast reduction, she crocheted herself a pink bikini, and she wanted to be painted in that pink bikini, because now she loves the color pink. She wanted to be certain that her scars on her breasts were shown. And if you look at it closely, you can see the scars are made from her breast reduction. And she also wanted to be certain that people recognized her as a plus-sized woman and very, very proud of it, happy of it. And so we met in a bar and painted in public. And she's sitting really high up on a stool, I'm sitting really low in my painting chair, and having this long, good discussion. We're building a crowd around us.
Oh, I'm sure.
And it was an experience that the crowd enjoyed, that she enjoyed, that I enjoyed. And it's a piece that I show frequently, and it has been very influential for others. And this particular person is very happy to be influencing others to have paintings like this.
That's great. I remember we've talked about this story before. I remember you mentioning the pink bikini before and how she hated the color, but now she, in this moment of ultimate pride, not only going through the body positivity painting, but doing it in a public setting where, must have been extremely freeing in that moment, but to share it with a color that had been, for her, for a long time, a hated color.
Yeah.
Must have been quite the experience. That's an incredible example of what we're talking about here today. And that maybe the experience is not one that all would want to be a part of, but I'm sure that all could appreciate the nature of in that sense. They have a lot in this setting, in the understanding of the normal world. We use the air quotes there. Would not be something that would bring many people pride, but to her it's a point of strength to show that vulnerability and to be that free with herself has to be extremely liberating. Are there others that you've done the same work with that have struck you in a different way? This obviously was setting someone free in being themselves and liberating themselves in a general sense after a massive surgery. Are there other examples that you have that really stick out to you?
I'm showing you one right now of someone that I met the same day I met you. I was showing her this image we just saw with the telling her story. This woman got into telling me about her history of nearly dying when she's 20 years old.
Wow.
She couldn't afford health care. The doctors would give her cursory opinions and cursory medicine and so forth about some of the feelings she had in her intestinal and stomach and digestion system. It wasn't until she almost died at the age of 20 when they actually went in and gave her some surgeries that she needed. And she had a couple of them, so she had parts of her body, her intestines removed and so forth.
Wow.
And she had a couple cesarean sections since then. But what she wanted to do, she came here to the studio, and we, after talking a long time, had a very special pose. She wanted a statement to her doctors that says, I am a warrior and I am a survivor. And her words were more crude than that, but this is what she wanted. And she's very happy with this. And she also likes the color pink, so that it's showing in there. She wanted to be known as a warrioress.
That's very obvious from the work. That is what's being shown. the perfection of what we see of the human body in media and in other places generally really tries to reach out to show the audience their ideal form of perfection,
Yeah.
which tends to distance itself from reality rather quick.
Yeah.
Whereas a piece like this and a piece like the last one, The Woman in the Pink Bikini, very much show a real person as they really are. And to witness it, even not going through it, it's remarkable. And I would imagine for the subject, it's sort of like crossing a line where they can put the past behind them a bit and move forward in their lives too.
Yeah.
Which is really freeing.
And evidence of that is both of these cases here have contacted me about additional paintings.
Okay.
So, and that's frequent. They'll have a painting, they'll have this experience, and they'll see the next level. And to me, that's really heartwarming to have that much trust in me, to appreciate the paintings, to get their own experiences. To me, that's what it's all about.
And there's an aspect of that to your work too, which is something I want to talk about today, which I really like. So this is obviously, it's a very intimate form of work. The people who put themselves in the position to have work like this done is work that, involves some trust. Not only in you as the artist, but in themselves, that they're doing the right thing.
Well, I think that trust is a very important part, and privacy is a very important part of it. Side note on that is this one I'm telling you about now. I'm going to tell you about it, but I'm not going to post it. For a lot of personal reasons on her part, I cannot post it yet. And I'll leave it at that. When I can, I'd be happy to post it because I want people to see it. But
so there's an aspect to this that is very personal. Obviously, the work you're doing here is very intimate in nature. And so obviously, a lot of people are going to be thinking about the privacy aspect of this work. And when we talked last, you mentioned how you bring the HIPAA process into what you do here, which anyone who's involved in a job that requires HIPAA policies know that the understanding is privacy and the importance of privacy in certain aspects. And obviously, with the intimate nature of this work, that would be important. How do you use and apply the HIPAA process to this work? And why is it so important to you that you use it?
An example of how I apply the process is the one we just talked about, the Warrioress. I am not going to post my page quite yet because something she told me about, it should stay away from any public view at this point. So I'm going to honor that. The second thing I do is often I will not paint the faces included with it because faces are identifiable. Third thing is I don't need to know names. I don't need to know where they're from. Certainly not even the city they're from. I take it seriously to the point where I want them to know for sure that it will be between me and my brush and what they're going through. And that became pretty important as well as I started collaborating with therapists. The therapists are very, very reliant on HIPAA, and they need to be certain that I can understand HIPAA is as well. So when I do a 3-way meeting with a therapist, either 3-way camera setting or in office or something, I will ask the patient what the patient wants to be called, not knowing the real name. I'll let the therapist do all the talking, and I paint and I provide the finished painting.
And so another aspect of this is that if the sitter wants this to remain something that is just for them, then they are guaranteed that this is something that remains just for them.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing. And have you ever had any times where someone has planned to do a sitting and prepared and maybe even got to the day of the sitting and they backed out, or they felt they needed more time? Or do you generally find that once they get to the point of booking a body positivity session, they're ready to be in front of the brush and have the work done?
Most cases they're ready. And I think that's because the word I used before, self-selecting, they know when they are at that point that they want to get that next level of confidence. They're ready for it, hungry for it. Only one time was someone canceled, and that had to do with the fact it was travel from Seattle to Portland. and work plans changed. It's only happened once. What is important for a lot of them when they come to the studio, I want them to feel safe. The area that I paint in the studio has 3 exits. I point out all those exits. I'll tell them they can leave anytime they want. Their clothing is within hand's reach, and they can run over the top if they want to. I'm not going to try to stop. I encourage them to bring someone with them if they want. I encourage them to have someone check in every half hour if they want to on the phone, but please answer the phone if you do that, please.
Yeah.
It's very disturbing if you don't do that. All those things just to feel safe in my studio.
Yeah, it's hard to do any sort of self-expression when you don't have the safety box checked. So that's great that they have that opportunity and that feeling, and I'm sure it reassures all the people who sit as your subject. So we've talked a bit about the benefits that you've seen in doing this type of work, the experience that your subjects have when they are done with it. Are there other potential benefits you see long term? Other ways you'd like for the body positivity work to turn to potentially help other people in the future? Do you have any other plans for the body positivity work in the future?
My plans, I'm letting it grow organically because art just works best that way. But I have 3 other branches I'm working with. We've been typically talking about scars today, but there's also branches of people who are plus size. Get comfortable with the fact of being plus size. My experience has been the most attractive qualities that a person can have is the combination of confidence and intelligence. If you put those things 2 together, it doesn't matter what you look like. I want my paintings to show. Second is I'm working now with coming up with some examples, and I will be at least I have one piece in an exhibition for cancer survivors. I'm working now on getting a model with some very interesting scars dealing with cancer, and that will be coming up in a couple weeks. I'm working with amputees, and I'm working with couples. An idea of it's kind of a sex therapy.
And all of them coming back to that same idea of finding a way to love themselves as they are, even if in certain situations things have changed for them over time.
Yes. Yeah.
And to be able to move forward.
Yes. Along those lines, I'm also studying sex therapy myself to roll this into a sex therapy practice.
And so beyond what you're doing now with the body positivity work, what other work are you doing as a part of your art, your personal art journey?
Whenever I travel someplace, I bring a sketch pad and I draw wherever I'm looking at. Usually it's in a restaurant, it's perhaps on a train, on an airplane. I'm drawing the interior of where I'm at. And I put in faces and bodies out that way. That's fun practice for me, as well as I like to stir creates. Someone's going to stop and look over it. Last week, I painted some rocks in southern Oregon, outside of Bend in Oregon, on the ocean, and someone walked by and bought them. Because I explained, these remind me of witches' hats. Look, it looks like a witch hat. And she likes witches, so she bought it from me, just right there. So painting while traveling is a lot of fun. I want to be involved with some galleries as well. There's a gallery in downtown Portland that has now twice accepted my paintings. There's one in Vancouver, which I will be trying to enter into again. The idea of the gallery work is to keep the discussions with people involved in the art world and find out what's going on. And it gives me an opportunity to challenge myself and come up with an image that might work. That'll roll into everything else I'm doing.
Do you have hopes for the body positivity work that it will expand beyond you and become more of a outwardly accepted form of therapy, of art in general? Do you find that there is a niche in the world for having art like this that focuses in on reality?
I think it's too early to tell if it is a niche. It is still in kind of infancy stage. If you've built a campfire, you notice that you start to match. You got the little, tiny little, small little twigs are just starting to burn. If you blow on it just right, it expands. Well, I'm at that twig's just lighting right now. So a wrong breath could blow it out. A wind could blow it. A rainstorm could blow it. I don't know what's out there to hold it. All I'm going to do is the best I can to keep it keep nurturing it till it builds. I'm seeing that at least once a week, somebody reaches out to me, or we have a conversation with someone brand new about this subject. Come together. Very similar to how you and I got together. And that's encouraging. And I'm getting a significant amount of bookings, at least once a week and so forth. For it to be, I feel, reach the level is when I am out of capacity and I need to bring someone else in. I've got 2 or 3 artists in mind who can work with me on this. But I need to be out of capacity before I do that. And I've got a ways to go for that.
With your experiences with the people who have come to be a part of all of your work, really, but most importantly, I think in this context, the body positivity work, if you had to leave our listeners with any impression that you think is important from your time doing this work, what would that be? What would you like people to know?
What I like people to know are 2 things. One is shyness is your enemy. A lot of people back out, even though they like it, because they're shy. There's not a lot I can do about shyness is up to you to overcome. But I'll tell you this about shyness, is that every time you say you're shy, and you stop doing something because you're shy, you're just making shyness stronger. You need to break that pattern, saying, I won't do it because I'm shy. The second thing is once you overcome shyness, your world opens up to a lot of other things, because now you've got the courage to ask for things you haven't asked for before that you could use. It's very empowering not to be shy. That's one thing. The second thing is I like my sitters to view this as a complete experience. Having an image is just the outcome. Setting up the process of discussing what the image will be, setting the session, participating in the session, receiving the finished image, and framing it and showing it is all the steps of the complete process.
I like that. It's a complete experience.
Complete experience.
It's more than just the picture, the painting, as the end result. Mm-hmm. It's what you gain out of it.
Right.
And it goes right along with that idea of open a door for the new experience and let that experience show you all the other doors that are out there for you to open.
Yeah.
Well, Joseph Brady, thank you very much for your time today. If our listeners want to get in touch with you, if they want to find your work, if they want to know more about you, we'll have information up on the page, but where can they find you?
I have a gallery on Daily Paintworks. dailypaintworks.com. Joseph Brady. They can find me.
Awesome. And hopefully they can find you out in the wild as well.
Hopefully, yes. I travel quite a bit, set up in Oregon and Washington. I've got some events scheduled in Salt Lake. I'm looking at some events in Denver and some events in Northern California. But I hail from Portland, and I spend most of my time circling the Portland area.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again for joining us today. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
And hope to see more of this body positivity getting out there in the world so that more people can experience and more people can grow from the experience.
Well, it's been my pleasure. Thank you so much.
You've been listening to the Endless Song Podcast with Will and Emily. Today's music, Everything Feels New, and Alternative Ways by Evgeny Bardyuja. Stay safe out there, everyone. And remember, intentions matter. So be thoughtful, be kind, and be better every day. And we'll see you out there on the trails.